Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Welcome to Ket's Angle. It's Ket Johansson, and today I've got a special interview. The person that helped me essentially launch the From the Ground Up series, giving me access to his Reach Academy students. It is UK wrestler and Reach Wrestling owner, Jason King. Jason, thank you for joining.
No worries, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, very good, my friend. Yeah,
good.
All good.
So yeah, first of all, thank you for giving me the access and permission to speak to some of your academy talent. I've really been enjoying that series of highlighting the life of a trainee. So today I get to speak to the person behind all their success so far.
That's cool, man. Yeah, no, pleasure's mine. It's been a lot of fun to listen to as well, because It's been really cool to kind of hear how they express themselves.
Yes.
Because I speak to most of them, every day, but hearing them on a platform like that was really fascinating to hear, their version of their journey is really interesting to me. It really did. It's been good. So I'm enjoying it, man.
No,
I'm
good.
enjoying listening.
Yeah, I'm glad. And for those of you listening, the interviews we mentioned are the From the Ground Up series with LA Taylor, we've got Carl Parker, and we've got Aurora. And as you're listening to this, would have also had the episodes with Jackson Shaw and Danny Steele drop. So make sure you check all those out if you haven't so far. Great insight into life of a trainee wrestler, somebody trying to break through and make their dreams a reality. And yeah, everybody has just sang your praises, Jason. I don't think it's a case of let's say good things about the trainer. I think you can tell everybody's really sincere. So that must mean a lot to you as a coach.
Yeah, it does, and I think you picked up a good point there, because they know me well enough to know that if they would just kind of brown nose me, it wouldn't fly. Like I'd probably put them up and say, "Don't do that," because I don't need that sort of. We don't teach that like at our school. we don't. I've never once said, you got to say nice things about me, and you got to, they know what's right from wrong, and I think mostly, I mean, the things I've heard them say are kind of about the, how much they enjoy the training and what they get out. Like not just physically, but like mentally as well. Some of them really do. It's like their their medicine. It's their wrestling, and I think it just hearing that is cool. For me to have a part in it is fun. It's fun for me. It's nice to know that I helped somebody in some way, right? It gives me purpose. It gives me a reason to get out there. If I'm there saying to myself, well, what's today for? And I've got 40 students, you think, well, there's 40 reasons to get up and bust your ass, So, and then like you say, when they say nice things, I don't think, as you said, it comes from a place of, oh, coach will tell me off if I don't say it, because I don't, it couldn't be further from the truth. But it's rewarding for me that they appreciate it, I think is what I'm trying to say. It's, it should be, like you said, it sounds sincere. I think they appreciate, the opportunities and the training, I think is what I think they enjoy.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. Like the amount of bad horror stories you've heard over the years, and even like way back when, of different coaches taking taking the piss really with the students, not being safe and doing things that would be against even safeguarding, or like I said, just not giving them the proper training. So for a lot of these first starting out or so early in their training career to find Reach, you can tell I was speaking to Danny about it, and it was a case of you've got to be the best you can be, essentially. You've got to give 110% all the time. With Reach, you're taking it really serious and giving people that mentality from the beginning of the career. We'll touch upon it later, but I think that's why the Reach Academy has been so successful.
Yeah, that's really good. Really, it's like I wouldn't use the word humbling because we bust our ass and like we know we're working hard, but it's flattering. I think is the word I would use because it makes me feel very good, but it makes me feel good in a way that like I want to kick on and push on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
It
not
motivates
like
you.
yes, thank you, my friend. That's the word. It motivates me. It makes me say, okay, good. It makes me think, good. So we're doing the right thing. So let's keep pushing. It's not a it's a culmination of everybody's work, and I think from day one we ultimately it gets installed very quickly. Like from day one, there's a time for laughing, there's a time for playing, and there's a time for messing around, and we do all that. But there's also time to go to work because I think ultimately one thing I learned when I was young. I mean, I'm not a gifted athlete. Like I'm not I'm not physically imposing. I've got nothing really that makes me more capable than anybody else at being a professional wrestler. But I just realized from a young age that if I worked harder than everybody else, or at the very least, as hard as anyone else, then really I could achieve anything. Yeah. And I think one of the things that we get in the academy is the feeling that, like, I can tell if someone's working hard, right? You know, it might be that I'm not as fit as you, or I'm not as strong as you, or I'm not as naturally gifted on the microphone as you, but if you're cruising and I'm busting my ass, then as the coach, I'm going to look at the guy who's giving me his everything, or the girl that's giving me her everything, to say, okay, this is the one that wants it, right? Yeah. And I think that's like on day one, we just kind of, just from day one, we just, I mean, how can I demand it, man, from day one. Yeah. there's no room for like, oh, get settled in and you know, I mean, they learn the ropes, you know, physically what we do in the ring and everything. You don't put somebody into a situation that they couldn't physically, you know, where they would sink rather than swim. But and you build their training from, you know, a forward roll to a full blown match. But the effort has to be 100 from day one. You know, the level of effort, it's got no reflection on how good a wrestler you are. I mean, your level of effort has got no reflection on how physically fit you are. Your level of effort is ultimately what you choose to put in. And I think we just really hit home quite hard. I mean, you can probably tell by the way I'm speaking. You notice we're all go. We're building an empire. You know, an empire needs, you know, pieces. You know, and Rosefield, and that's what our guys and girls in the academy are. You know.
Yeah, no, 100% passionate. I was a bit similar when I worked with Hull City football coaching. You'd have certain people that, again, really fit, really natural fitness there, and they'd cruise and they'd maybe laugh at the person that's throwing up. It's like, wait a minute, if that person's throwing up, they've put more effort in than what you've been doing. You can go do a couple more laps so you're like that. So it's good that, again, going back to the Danny interview, he mentioned it can't be in and out, just turning up one week, maybe missing a couple and then going. It's you either want this or you don't. And if people want it, you're going to be there to make sure they can get it.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, the reason, I mean, firstly, I love that you can relate to what I'm saying, like about the whole city thing. That's really cool because it tells me you know exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. So, like, you're on the same wavelength, which I think is really good. And I think you're spot on. That's like a perfect example. I mean, you can be the fittest in class, male or female, I don't care which. Like, you can be the fittest in class, but if you're coming in and only half-assing it, and I'm at that point, I'm like, then what are you doing here? Yeah. Don't waste my time. There's a spot that's got to be filled by somebody that wants it. And I think ultimately it's just a case of I've trained at schools and I've been to schools and I've, you know, done extra sessions and seminars and things and I've seen, I mean, you know, in 10, 15 minutes, when I start getting the hard cardio going, you can tell, you know, within 10 minutes, the people that want to be a professional wrestler are prepared to buckle down and bite the gum shield and get swinging and say, let's go, embrace the grind. And then you can tell the people that are kind of saw John Cena or Hulk Hogan and said, oh, yeah, I'd like to be like that. And then when the work comes, and they're like, a minute, I didn't see this side of it, and I think we just don't, because ultimately it's not, we're a business, but we could take anybody's money, right? We could take anyone's money and just say, yeah, everyone come to the school. Why would you? It's not fulfilling. I mean, it's not fulfilling if somebody comes to the school and gives me the 50% effort every week. What's the point? What's the point of me wasting my time and energy on that person who's ultimately not giving back what we put in? I think I'd rather have, 10 people that are incapable but trying and working their ass off than, 3 people that were just naturally gifted at everything that didn't want it. Because if you don't want it, it's never really gonna register on the psychological level that it needs to for wrestling.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, like genetics and stuff will only get you so far. You need the heart and passion behind it.
No, 100%. Because you can never, if you can't outwork somebody, how do you beat them? How do you stop them? How do you, I want the man or woman that shows me they won't quit. That's what I want, because that's what I give them and Grayson gives them, and we're giving as much opportunity as we can, because we, like you said about those horror stories earlier, we've been part of some of them, and we've, we've got stories like that where we've been in situations like that, and I always swore if I had a school, that whole bully mentality and that whole some of the bullshit that used to go on in pro wrestling, there's a place for respect. But there's a difference between bullying somebody and respecting somebody. There's a difference. Two completely different things. And a lot of times I saw bullying when I was first coming up. I mean, I was all right. I mean, I got the odd bit here and there, but mostly I was pretty safe. But I did see some nasty stuff. And then conversely, I always said, well, if I ever have a school or I ever run a school, why would you bully somebody out the door? Why? What? I mean, if anything, you want to give them as much chance as you. If you're their coach, your job's to protect them and to make them better and help them see right from wrong. No,
100%. And I'm glad you mentioned, like, when you was coming up, you'd seen stuff like that. So moving over to like yourself, like, how did you get started? Like, who was you training first? How did you find it to get settled at a school?
Yeah, so we went to a show in Exmouth. I've told this story a few times. I was working in a supermarket at the time, and it was a Monday. It was a show in Exmouth. It was a Monday night, and Billy Gunn was going to be at the show, and it was like obviously a big deal because it's Billy Gunn, right? And I was what was I, 18, 19, some of that, and I was going to work at the supermarket, and my friend had been nagging me all day, saying, "You've got to take the night off work. We've got to go to wrestling. We've got to." And I said, "Mate, I need the job. I need money. I can't just go to the show tonight. I'm sorry." And he's hounding me all day. "This is your dream, man. This is what we want." So I get in the door of the supermarket, and it's a massive store. And just as I'm walking through the door, he goes, "You're telling me?" He says, "This is your chance to break into professional wrestling. You're going to give it up for this job." And I said, "Well, what can I do now? I've got my bloody uniform on." I said, "I don't know what you want me to do." So I don't, and he said to me, "This is what I want you to do." He said, "Why don't you?" He said, "Hide in the toilet." Right? He said, "Hide in the toilet. I'll go tell your boss that you're not coming in tonight." And that he said, "We'll just run." This is honest truth. Like he said, "We'll just run." He said, "We'll run out the store." He said, "We'll call Mike, who's my brother," and he said, "We'll let him know we are going to wrestling, and we'll go watch the show tonight." And I said, "Oh, the hell with it. Let's do it. Whatever. All right." I mean, I was like 20. I was young and dumb. And anyway, he comes into the toilet. He goes, "Jace, I've told your boss." I was like, "Did you really?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "You've got to call in. He doesn't know who I am." And I said, "Fuck this." And we ran out the store. I think we got to I must have been doing a shift something like, I don't know, something like 12 till 6 or something where it was like ultimately I would have missed the beginning of the show. So we get down to Exmouth at about, I don't know, at past 1, 2 o'clock. And we were waiting outside, and this chap turns up with his ring. It was T-Bone. Yeah, you heard of T-Bone. He turns up with his ring, him and a chap, I'll never forget his name, called Gordy, was a mate of T-Bone's. I've not seen him in ever since, really, since this story. But they turn up, and we obviously don't know our ass from our elbow. You don't know anything, but we just said, "We're here to do the ring." And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" And we said, "Well, we're just here to do the ring." And he said, "Well, who sent you?" And we said, "Oh, we just want to help out." And he was like, I remember T-Bone's face. He's like looking around, thinking someone's planting a camera, because he was like, he's like, who are these kids that want to do a wrestling ring? Like, most people, we didn't know what doing the ring even was. We just knew the way in, right? So he was like, fine, come in. But I mean, he still helped. He didn't have to, he could have made us, he could have sat there drinking tea and just directed, but he got involved and he was really forthcoming, showed us how to do everything. And like all the wrestlers started turning up and the promoter turned up and everything. And we just, we got backstage, and the next day was a show in Bournemouth. And the day after that was Portsmouth. And ultimately, my friend again, the one who spoke to my boss at Tesco, he said to me, look, why don't I ask if we can go with them to Bournemouth? And I was like, where the fuck is, I didn't know where Bournemouth was. I said, well, where's that? My brother said, who cares? Let's go. And I said, well, okay, fine. He said, can we like ride with you and do the ring again? And again, we think it's like a big deal, right? Doing ring. Like now it's like, oh, I got the ring. He's like, are you kidding? And we're like, no, we want to come with you and do the ring. And he's like, you want to ride with me and you just want to do the ring? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, fine, ride with me. So then when we jumped in the back of the van, there was three of us. And he's like, there's a seat up front if one of you guys want to sit up the front. And all three of us were like, no, we're riding the back. And he's like, you're all going to ride in the back with the ring. And we're like, yeah. He's like, it's full of metal and wood. It's going to be uncomfortable. But we all had this mentality, like, stick together, I don't know why, but we just, so we all rode to wherever it was he lived. I can't remember where he lived, but we all rode back to his place. And then it was to Bournemouth the next day, then back to his place again after the show in Bournemouth, and then to Portsmouth. And then we luckily got a lift home from a chap called Chris Andrews, was a wrestler back then. He lived in Exeter, so he was able to give us a lift back from Portsmouth. I mean, we didn't even think about how we were going to get back from Portsmouth on the third day. I didn't know where Portsmouth was, but we were so eager to just get involved. And then I think it was maybe 6 months after that, I just had the bug, and I was looking online and found a local training school, 20 minutes down the road. They were a bit backyard, really, to be honest with you. They didn't really know wrist lock from a wristwatch. Those guys didn't really have a clue what was going on, but they knew more than me. So so as far as I was concerned, this was my ticket to the WWE. But after 2 sessions, I was kind of like, I thought, these aren't the guys that I saw with Billy Gunn. And I thought, because they're not the guys that I saw with Billy Gunn, maybe this isn't where I need to train. So then I kept contacting Bar City Pro in Portsmouth, constantly contacting him. And ultimately, he finally I've been emailing him for months, and he was like, fine, I'm starting a school. There's going to be a new school opening in Portsmouth. He said, if you can get to Portsmouth and pay me, it was £110 a month to train at the school. He said, if you can pay me £110 a month, you can train. And I was like, yes, sir. I mean, he could have said to me £1,000 up front. I wouldn't have known. I mean, I didn't have £1,000, but I would have, you know what I mean, begged, borrowed, stealed. Because that's what I wanted. And so I used to travel to Portsmouth. It was like a 300-mile round trip. I did that for 9-10 months. Then I left wrestling for about 6 years. And I never thought I'd come back. I never thought I mean, to me, wrestling was a thing I did when I was 21. Yeah. And I just never, and it was just like an old memory. Do you know what I mean? And it was never something that was ever. I think I didn't get on with the coach in the end. He's a chap called Tom. He's a great wrestler, but I don't think at 21 I was disciplined enough to do as I was told. I mean, that's a factor in it. I mean, I have to be honest. All these years later, what am I? I'm going to be 32 in June. I'm 10 years later. I can admit I probably wasn't disciplined enough, but it wasn't just that. I think his methods and everything. I don't think I quite agreed with everything he did and the way he treated some people. I just wasn't. I wasn't on that right vibe. I don't think so. I mean, I went away, and again, he was more old school. He was a bit more old school, which I tough upbringing, so it didn't bother me the toughness and that sort of thing. But I think there was a bit of perhaps sometimes I don't know if we were necessarily on perhaps the same wavelength sometimes, and it got to that time and I could feel it myself. I was like, I don't want to. If this is, my mind was telling me, if this is professional wrestling, then you don't want to be part of it. All right, it's not something I want to be part of. Many years later, I went and got a job, did all sorts of things in the time I was away from wrestling. And many years later, I was working in an office, and it was like my first day, and we did like one of those really cringy kind of, my name's Nick, and this is what I do for a living. And one of the questions, an interesting fact about yourself. And I said, just as a passing comment, I said, I used to be a professional wrestler. And I sat back down in my seat, and everyone was like, I mean, literally, like the whole class was like, wrestling, no way, and they're getting all excited. And I'd not really thought about it for years. So it's the craziest thing. As I was watching their excitement, I was getting excited. And I was thinking, okay, no, people still care about wrestling. Like, people still are interested in wrestling, and they're asking me all these questions. And for the next, 3-4 weeks, it was constant every day. And what about this? And what about that? And how does this work? And I think psychosomatically, it was starting to grow again, and I could feel it in my mind. And I started to think, what if? Like, what would you ever wrestle? Should I wrestle again? And I just found a local school, a chap I knew from in the BPW days called Dan. And he had a school in Torquay, which was around about 15 miles from where I lived. I mean, if I just traveled 300 miles a week, I mean, the thought of traveling 50 miles for a school to me was nothing. And I'd played sort of poker before that. I was a sponsored poker player. So I was traveling all around the south of England playing poker. So the idea of a 15-mile drive to me was a walk in a park. So I thought, give it a go, try one more session. 6 years later, I think it was, I said, try this one session. If you try and you don't like it, and you've moved on from wrestling or grown out of it or whatever the hell I told myself, I said, then never think about it again, move on. And you can tell all those people, yeah, I went back to a session the other day, but I don't like wrestling anymore. And that would be that. But I went that night and I met Grayson Reeves for the first night. Now, he's like hyper competitive, right? Like, he's very competitive, and we've told this story before in different podcasts, and he swears blind that it's one way, and I swear blind it's the other way. Since it's me telling the story, I'm going to tell you how I remember it. All right. So we ultimately were doing these drills to blow each other up. It was like the coaches always drop down, leapfrog, like constantly running through. And then we were doing some like core work where we were like hanging off the ropes, skinning the cat and stuff, and we were like doing like amateur wrestling, like shoot wrestling and everything. And I remember getting the better of him, and that's the truth, right? I got the better of him. Certainly amateur wrestling, because I was fit and I was like, it's not a knock at him, but I mean, I don't mind a little bit of that in there. And I just don't think he was as fit as perhaps I was at the time. And he'll swear blind. That's not how it went. But we were both blown, don't get me wrong. Like, make no mistake, we were both blown. All I'm saying is I got the better of him. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Right, so that's my version. But ultimately, the point was, he was really good, like, even at that stage. And I was like, God damn, this kid's good, like, who's this guy? Like, he's decent. And because he was good on that first night and really pushed me, blew me up, gave me a bit of iodine here and there, like, that lit a fire under me to say, like, God damn, man, that was fun. Like, that was, and it just made me think, like, I want another go. I want another go and another go. And we would talk on the phone. Within about the first month, we were super close, and we just used to talk nearly every day, and we just loved wrestling. Just absolutely loved professional wrestling, and we just talked about everything. And I say all the time, if it wasn't for him being there that night, I wouldn't be in wrestling now. Because if I hadn't had him whooping my ass and really, making me work, and if I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't have gone back, because I wouldn't have wanted to go back the second time, 2 days later to really have another go, at getting in there and bumping around and and that kind of thing, So I credit him really for me being here now in wrestling. I wouldn't be here if he hadn't done that. So.
Wow. So what was it like when you had your first match then? You'd been doing the training, you're getting in front of a live crowd, especially when you came back and started wrestling with Grayson. What was that first match like?
You want the first one when I trained before, or the first one when I came back?
The first one when you came back, to where you're thinking, right, is this still for me?
By that point, I was hooked. And we had a good group of guys and girls down in the dungeon at Torquay Wrestling. We used to call it the dungeon. Used to come. It was like an old building that used to be like a letting agents, and the coach had bought the building. So you'd go through the front door and you'd walk down, and it'd be pitch black. And you'd walk down the steps, and you'd just hear from like down. You'd hear all the bumping around, and you'd hear all the noises coming from the ring, and you just hear like boom, boom, and laughing and shouting and selling noises, and you were just like, oh fuck, and you walk down the stairs, and there's a little outside part you got to walk through, and sometimes it'd be like lashing down the rain, and you'd walk outside, and there'd be all this like, it wasn't a very well kept building, and the outside part was quite run down, but it looked quite dark and gloomy, and you'd walk through those doors, and there you'd see the ring, and like we called it the dungeon, and I just knew I was like, there was something about that place that was special. We had a real good class of guys, and we just a real good camaraderie. It was almost military, the level of sort of, I guess, camaraderie we had and respect for each other. I met Grayson Reeves there, and Blake Harrison, John Aubrey, who's our MC. Yeah, the list goes on. I met loads of guys and girls from that school. I knew at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm back, and it was a different feeling than when I trained before with in Portsmouth. This felt right. This felt like I was mature enough to adopt what professional wrestling was supposed to be, the respect side of things, and perhaps the work of it. And I think at 27, I was a different man than I was at 21. I was a very different man, and I just realized, okay, if I'm going to be successful at wrestling, it requires a lot more than just those 15 minutes they give me in a match. It requires the other 23 hours and 45 minutes of a day. It requires me to be a professional in those moments too. And by the time I came back out for my first match, the boss says, there's a show Sunday, everybody. I'd like you all to be there to help out. And I turned up in like a grey pair of Adidas trousers and like bright red night trainers and like a red vest. Because I was just like chilled out, right? I was just like, the show's at the dungeon. I'm just coming to help help the younger guys put matches together, I guess, because I was probably one of the more experienced guys. Excuse me, one of the more experienced guys at that point. And I was just like, cool. It's like the summertime. It was like June, and so I was like wearing my vest and trackies, and I was chill, right? I was just like, oh, I can't wait to see some live wrestling. This would be so cool. I mean, I had no idea, I walked through the door, and he goes, "Oh, Jace, you're here." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, boss, sorry, I'm late." And he's like, "No, it's fine. You're wrestling Willie Win," and I was like, "Beg your pardon?" And he's like, "Yeah, wrestling Willie. Willie will be here in a minute." He goes, "He might even be upstairs getting changed." He's like, "You're over." And I was like, "So, pardon? What did you say? What?" And he goes, "Is that all right?" I was like, "Yeah." And I walk out the door thinking, did he just fucking say like? And I was like, "I've got like a match, like what, an actual match?" Like, and I just don't think I was, almost, because I had so short time. I mean, I had like 2 hours. So we did like it's on YouTube. Like, it's like you'd laugh at it now, but me versus Willie, it was like about a 5-6 minute match maybe. I got my heat, and we had a finish and everything, and it just went backstage. The boss was happy, I was happy, my opponent was happy, and we just kind of came away sort of saying to myself like, holy shit, like, you did it, like you're back, I guess, like you're wrestling again. I mean, it was a really nice kind of deer in the headlights reintroduction, because it was like, get in there and wrestle, go in there and do what you've been practicing, and see what happens. And I was just like, sink or swim, right? And I've loved it ever since. I mean, like, and here we are, I'm still here.
So, before we got into like what you'd think are your top moments as a competitor, Omega Luke asked me to ask about this Doug Williams match, and you tell a story about your Doug Williams match. So, let us know about that.
God damn. So he would, wouldn't he? So when I first, I didn't even know British wrestling existed. I had no idea. Like, I didn't even know it was a thing. I just knew WWE, and I heard there was some stuff in Japan and Mexico, but I didn't know what they were or where they were. I might have heard of New Japan, but that was it, right? Ultimately, outside WWE, there was nothing. And then I got Sky TV, and there was the Total Wrestling Channel, channel 427.
Yeah.
So the Total Wrestling Channel. 1PW, FWA, you had IPW, oh god, there were loads. You had a real RQW, you had International Showdown that Alex Shane would promote, and I was like, who in the hell are these men like British wrestlers, and I could not believe. To me, these British wrestlers, Johnny Storm, Jody Fleisch, Alex Payne, Andy Simmons, Darren Burridge, these men were as big to me as John Cena is now because they were on TV and they were wrestlers.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, it was like regional, pretty much, like these guys were wrestling North or the wrestling in London, or because we didn't have a lot of wrestling in the South. But the one that stood out to me was Doug Williams. I mean, he was a different class. Just the way he moved and the way he wrestled.
Oh, yeah.
I watched him and was just like, I watched Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, the Iron Man match, that WrestleMania. And when I watched that as a kid, that's where I told myself, you're going to be a wrestler because you want to be just like those two. Larger than life, sort of over the top performance and just incredible athleticism. And I just said, I want to be like them. And then I didn't feel that really until I saw Doug Williams. After that, years later, I saw that and got that same feeling of just watching him and thinking, this guy is a different class. He's just a different level of skill. And it wasn't just that he appeared to be the best wrestler to me. His overall package was just the way he sold and moved and his offense and everything. Just, I told him when I saw him, I said, you're the one guy I wanted to wrestle because I said, you made everything so believable and just so it just looked fierce and it looked intense. And I remember saying it to him and he goes, oh, thanks, cheers. And he walked off. And I thought, I waited like 9 years to say that, didn't you? But anyway, so I don't really get nervous in my matches. And some people will say, if you don't get nervous, you get out of the business. I don't agree with that at all because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody feels different. I tend to get quite excited because I think if I'm any good at what I do and the story's good that what we're building, then I'm excited to go out and show the people, our performance, our version of professional wrestling, which is ultimately what we get to do each time we have a match. We get to show them our version of our art. And I get excited before I go out the curtain and I get all pumped up. You'll often see me behind the curtain talking to myself real loud or slapping myself or, it looks like I'm probably taking some, illegal substances to get my mood up, but I don't touch that stuff. I'm just hyped because I'm ready to go out there and give it some. When I wrestled Doug, I was the complete opposite. I was shitting my pants because it was Doug Williams. And he was the one like I wanted for so long. He was going to retire. He was about a month away from retiring. And the promoter down in Cornwall, where I did a lot of good work for, Terry Speller, I'll always be grateful to Terry because he called me up when I was at work and told me about the Doug match. I remember not shouting down at the phone at him, but I was kind of shouting, but in a good way. And I couldn't believe it. I put the phone down and I thought, what's just happened? Like, this is the one you wanted and it's coming in 6 weeks now. It's, official. And when I saw that later that day, they put the poster out, and I remember thinking, it's no going back now. Like, this is what you worked for, all these years. And this was your chance now as Jason King, the character, to show, again, your version of our art against the one that I believe sits on the top of the mountain above the rest. And I wanted to show that I could hang with him and look convincing with him. That confidence all went out the window when I saw him and shook his hand, started putting that together. And he'd be like, so you got a way to cut me off? And I'd be like, I usually, oh God, and you can tell he's like, oh, this guy is not very, And I'd say something like, I could break your eye, and he'd go, all right, yeah, all right, if you want to do that, then. And I'm like, is that no good? Like, I'm panicking like hell, my heart's going. It's like, I wish looking back, I could have just relaxed and said, Jace, he's that good. He's going to take care of you.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get myself calm, So the match starts, we lock up and throws me in the corner. Then we lock up a second time and I throw him in the corner. And then the third time we go in for the lock up. And I till this day, I don't know. I think I must have headbutted him because I just go boom. and I mean, the refs pulled me back and I hit Doug with some force because I don't know if I saw red or what happened. The mood took me. I really don't know. But he's bleeding from the nose. He's got some old scar tissue on his nose. And I mean, this is coming down, man, like we're pouring water. I mean, the visual was incredible. If he wasn't retiring and he could have came back after that, we had from that image of the blood pissing out of his nose. I jumped out the ring to give him time to get tissue and everything and sell, what I just done.
Yeah.
But I was trying to sell like really angry. But if you see my face, I'm almost crying because I waited 10 years to wrestle Doug, and what have I done in 30 seconds? Headbutted him and nearly broke his nose. I mean, you can see me outside the ring. I do not look like a convincing heel. At this point, I look like I'm about to cry. I'm walking around outside going, what have you done? What have you done? You've ruined it. All the thoughts are going through my head. I was thinking about going backstage, getting in the car, driving home in my pants, just going, the hell with this, I quit. I quit wrestling. I'm done. I thought I can't do this no more. And he's kind of like signaling to get tissue, and it's getting worse because nobody was getting him tissue. And then someone gave him like one strip of tissue. And I mean, the blood is all down his chest and everything. And I was thinking, oh God, someone just give him a towel, give him something. Went on for about probably 30 seconds, maybe more. Seemed like it was gone on for 10 minutes, and the longer I was on the outside of the ring, I kept sort of jokingly getting back in the ring and getting back out and being like, oh God, I can't really get in until he's cleaned up. It was a shambles. I mean, the match itself was brilliant, and it made a great visual when he sat on the ropes and I popped in between the eyes, and the blood's coming in, and the fans were really, bought it and everything, but I got backstage, and again, I'm not I'm not running from it. I'm shy. I'm quite open with, but I felt timid. I have to be honest, going back there, because I thought you're about to get a grilling from a man you respect probably as much as anybody, and it was just like, I just felt like a kid. I was like, God damn, you're about to get told off, and I was really like, but I felt guilty and I felt bad, and I felt the performance on my part. I was like, I couldn't separate and say, no, the match was good. It was just an accident. I couldn't see it at that time as it was an accident that could have happened to anyone. I saw it as, you fucked up, you messed up it was a big chance against Doug, and you messed up, and and I went to speak to him, and he said, just let me clean myself up. He said, and we'll, and I sat down to talk to him, and I thought, here comes the grilling, and I just felt, oh, this is going to be your reminder that you ain't what you thought you were. And he started sort of smiling and laughing and said, Cora, what happened there, And I thought, what? Pardon? Like, huh? And I said, I'm so sorry about the nose, Doug. I said that. He said, don't worry about it. And he pulls out his like a gum shield, like mouthpiece, man, with like 4 teeth missing. And he goes, yeah, I had these knocked out of progress. He said, it happens, man. Don't worry about it, And I was instant release. I mean, I became so relaxed, and as far as I didn't fart, you know what I mean? Like I just all the tension just came out of me, and I was just like, oh God, thank. And we talked about the match, and he said, like, yeah, no, he was putting on his Twitter, and I spoke to his partner 6 weeks ago, and she said, I use my Facebook for advertising reach, so I add a lot of people. Anyone that's wrestling related, I'll tend to add on my Facebook to make reach, to get the reach message out there. And I added her, like, not knowing who she was, but I knew she was something wrestling related because I saw like wrestling posts on her page or something. So I thought, I'll add her, and she's someone wrestling related. And she said, do we know each other? I said, I saw you're into wrestling. Before I could finish the message, she goes, I see you wrestled Doug and broke his nose. I was like, oh God. I said, that's his partner. And we had a chat about it, and she said, we're talking about it, and this is years later, so I can look back at the match removed from it and say, do you know what? It was a really, really cool experience. The match was really good, and the blood really added to the moment. Yeah. If he wasn't retiring, we really could have built something on that. We really could have. And I said to her, I really enjoyed the match, and it was a good match. It was just really unfortunate what occurred. And she said, I'm with Doug now, and he's laughing about it. He said, it's a really good story you can tell people now. You can look back and laugh, and it kind of made me feel like, you know what, don't carry a burden. I mean, it's one accidental headbutt that could happen to any. I mean, how many times do we all injure each other accidentally in the ring and everything? But I think because I looked up to him so much and held him in such a high regard, still do, in such a high regard, that I just felt terrible about what had occurred. But again, he put me at ease and said, you had a good time. Like, it was a good match. We got the crowd. Just laugh about it, and that was my unfortunate incident.
So before we get to Reach, you used to wrestle with PWA down in Plymouth, where you was, I think, with Adam Flint, the King's Court Tag Team Champions. What happened with like PWA? Because I know the company had closed as yourselves as Tag Team Champions. I think in one of your last matches, it involved the UK Hooligans. That they hit hard. They hit hard. Like, tell us a bit about like your time at PWA and being in the ring with Zak and Roy.
Right. Yeah, so the PWA, they were lovely on the outside, but unfortunately they had problems on the business side of things that ultimately couldn't be overcame, which is a bit of a shame because they sometimes they did good numbers and they did do very well. And I loved working in Plymouth, and I loved working for PWA. But I'm grateful for all that PWA gave me, because had they not have given me the opportunities to become, I guess, a name in the scene in the south of England, if they were one of the catalysts to really give Jason King his chance to blossom, if you will. And Adam Flint's one of the best friends in the world, one of them, and me and him used to travel the road together, and the south, and just I had such a great time being tag partners with him, and it just really was some of the best fun I ever had. We just were over. We got over from our work and our performance and everything, and we wrestled some good teams. We wrestled two lads who were called back then. They were called the Renegades, and now they're called Sid Oakley and Oakley and McLeod. Oakley and McLeod, they were called. Craig McLeod and Craig Oakley at the time. Good boys they were, and we had just started to get into it. They were the first team we got a real good story with, and they were brought in to wrestle us. And I said, no, listen. I said, have them beat us tonight. I remember saying, like, one of that. It's a shame because it's one of the last sort of nights. I said, have them beat us. I said, so that when we next wrestle, people for the titles, people will assume, the King's Court are going to win the rematch. So have them go over us dirty. And 3 months away was the anniversary show. I said, we'll have a ladder match. Have us take them, take the belts back, and the big anniversary for the big payoff. And we all loved it. And I was trying to help them, really, get them on the map down here, because they were good lads that we loved working with. Plans changed slightly, and we kept the belts, but instead they brought in the Hooligans, which, to be honest, in retrospective, was not a bad thing. Now, I'm good friends with Roy Knight. He's a good friend of mine. And I went and saw him about just before the lockdown. I think it was pretty much the weekend before the lockdown. I was up there hanging out with Roy and everything, and seeing his dad Ricky and the family up there, and back then this is where we met. You see, but I mean, I'd been to Norwich once before, where I became good friends with Roy before, but this was the first time we'd wrestled, and they just, you want to talk really. I mean, I thought I was good at that point, and I think I would say I was a good professional wrestler. But I was not a great professional wrestler, and I was not a world-class professional wrestler. And if I thought I was definitely proven wrong. So any ego that I thought I might have had at the time was taken away, and they didn't do it in a whoop my ass way. They just did it being themselves. There were moments in that match where I really did feel like I was behind, playing catch up, and living in the moments as I would hear the crowd, and it was a wonderful feeling to be reminded, there's another few tears in this game, kid. Like, it was a really cool learning experience for me, and it was humbling for me to be in there with two guys that are just different level of crowd. I mean, Roy might be the best in the country. Roy, honestly, as a singles wrestler, I mean, his conditioning alone at 40, I think he is now, is just, I mean, no one's ever blown him up. I said, mate, he trains like an animal. I mean, he drinks like, I love to go drinking with him, but he trains as hard as he drinks, so he's brilliant. But Zak is 18 stone at that point when we wrestled, and I'll tell you something, Zak did a moonsault on me, and when he was coming down, I thought, and I'm 12 and a half stone, and I thought, oh, here we go, like, this is going to hurt. I mean, he hit me, and I forgot to sell, because he was so light, when he hit me on that moonsault. And I just, for a split second, I was like, wow. Then I was like, no, not wow, you're in a match, do what's required of you. But they were just pros, just absolute pros, like, the whole time. And, they hit hard. I mean, I hit Zak hard. I went right after him, boom. I popped him one, and I gave him a big chop, bang, and he chopped me back, boom. And he said, chop me again, because I was, babyface. He wanted me to, so I came back, boom. And just, they were so giving. They recognized that we were like me and Flint were the baby faces. They recognized that we needed to get our stuff in as much as they needed to get their stuff in, and even the Renegades to get their heat. They just really, understood the way to make that match. They really, really did know how to put it together so that everybody came out of that better than they went in. And I think that's a real pro. because it would have been easy for them to just come down and say, we'll do this, and that'll be that. But they didn't.
Yeah.
They came in and said, let's make that there, and you get some of this, and we'll find that. And we got a standing ovation at the end. It's the first standing ovation I've seen in Plymouth up to that point. I've seen like 2 since, but it was the first time I'd seen a standing ovation. And it just being in the ring, shaking their hands, and watching the crowd. And I was looking at the crowd, and I was thinking, we've just been part of something really, really special. In Plymouth. And I just, it just takes it's when you love professional wrestling, when you love anything, when you're part of something you love, it's the best feeling in the world, and just to be part of something that's special and that felt that good was really rewarding. Those moments will live forever. You can replay them in your mind over and I just wish we had more. I mean, PWA weren't so organized with things like footage, and because I would have loved to. I could watch that match, once every couple of months. I could probably sit down and watch that. And just an art, it just really was a very, very rewarding experience, mate. It really was.
Yeah. Now, Roy's probably one of my favourite people that I talk to in wrestling as well. Such a gent. I think I saw him a couple of days before you was in Norwich, actually, when he was in Grimsby. And, yeah, he had a match with his lad, RKJ, and, again, both of them just going balls to the walls, essentially. And Roy ended up doing a great speech afterwards, like advocating mental health and things like that. So, yeah, I advise anybody to reach out to Roy, check out his book as well, which openly talks about all his troubles. And I'm with you, in the ring, like, it'd be hard to argue if there's somebody better at the moment. Like, he's incredible.
Yeah, I think you just said something really good there about the mental health thing as well, mate. And he really, I mean, he wants to open his own depression center. He's selling books to make money. And I'll tell you something, he wouldn't want us to. I know what he's like. He wouldn't want us to praise him because he doesn't ever want people to think he's doing it for any. It's not an ego thing at all. He really, genuinely, as you said, he wants to help you. Like you said perfectly, reach out to him. He's an ear for anybody. He's honestly so giving and so forthcoming. And it's done because he wants to help you. I mean, to genuinely want to go out of his way to help people that are suffering. It really is. It when I'm around him and I'm talking to him, it makes me look in the mirror and say, okay, well, how much are you doing, Jace? What are you doing to help other people? And it kind of makes me feel a little bit like, he's a really good man. I mean, he really is a good man, honestly. He's a good friend of mine, and I really do like and I care for very much and I respect. I can't say enough good about him, and it's good. Like you said, you've seen him yourself, away from, my experiences with him. And, as you said, he's gone out of his way again to put all the mental health and the struggles and things. I mean, it's just really, he is a very good man. I can't say enough good about him, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Is that somebody you'd want to do business with in the future? Then you just mentioned it's a match that you'd really like to watch back. Obviously, you went down to WAW, you took Echo and LA, which we'll get into as well. But would you like to see him in Reach's tag division, or you go down at WAW?
Yes, I would. I'd love to wrestle him. At WAW for me to wrestle him, I'd have to be up there a little while because I think I'd need to build myself in the eyes of their local fans a little bit. I'd have to get a little in so that I could, if I was there for a little while, if I had time to go there for a month or so to really start building that, which I know I could do with him, like no doubt. But I think for it to be believable and to make as much money as we could make for WAW, I would need time to, because he's extremely popular in WAW, and I can be extremely unpopular. It's no problem. So I would really like to. He's a guy I would love to work with in that fashion. And the other thing, of course, is we can bring him down here. I mean, we tried to get him down before, but we weren't able to get him because of the movie premiere that he had come out. It fell on the same weekend, so he wasn't able to get down. It kind of just fell. We booked him and he was all good, and then they changed the date of the movie premiere, and so it was just bad timing, really. And we never really got the chance to bring him down since because of the way certain business was going and everything. But yeah, I'd love to wrestle Rory. I mean, like you said, he's by RKJ's. It's a different class, and he like that. I mean, he's unbelievable as well. Isn't he? I mean, he can do anything.
He's
He's like,
ridiculous, yeah.
mate. I mean, he's like. I heard William Regal once, right? He said about Randy Orton. He said to him, "How do you do this stuff?" And Randy Orton said, "I don't know. I just do it really." And Regal said, "Well, can you do I don't know X, Y, Z?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll show you." And he did it. And Regal's like, "You can do anything?" And Orton said, "Can I?" You know, I didn't even really know how good he was at the time. You know, I think RKJ is a little bit like that. I mean, he could be cocky. You know, he won't mind me saying that. You know,
Yeah.
but I don't even think he knows how good he can be because he's come from good blood, you know,
Yeah.
in wrestling terms, you know, and I think he's one that I mean he's going all the way, and do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
going,
Oh no. Yeah.
you know, no questions asked. And good luck to him because he's dedicated his life, you know, his life to his wrestling. You know, I'll
Yeah.
say good luck. You know, yeah, him and Rory. I'd love to get both down. And Julia, Zak Roy Knight, you know, she'd be another one. You'd want to get involved with, get the girls in with her. Yeah, for sure.
And that was part 1 of my interview with Jason King. Make sure you subscribe to Kurt's Angle Pod and Chairshot Radio Network so you do not miss out on part 2 where we talk about Reach Wrestling, how that came to be and the growth it's had in 2 years, and also the Reach Academy and how that's bringing out some fantastic stars at the moment, which you can listen to on my From the Ground Up series where I've done various interviews with the Reach Academy students. Also coming up in the coming weeks with Kurt's Angle Pod, I've got a part 1 and part 2 of my interview with the English Lion, Eddie Ryan, and we will be having an interview with one of the brightest talents to ever come from the UK in Joel Redman. Thank you for listening.
TheChairShot.com. Always use your head.